This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Matthew Dean Hollis.
Going back to those liturgical, sayings that we have in our head or things we memorize, the Lord's Prayer, when we say, "Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven."
We just say
It's
that,
not.
yeah.
It's not.
A lot of us
It's
don't
not my
really
will be
want it.
done
Yeah.
on earth because I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's your will be done.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me getting, over my kind of fear of failure was me realizing, like Moses,
Mm-hmm.
hey, your will be done. I might go to Pharaoh and ask him to free my people, and then he'll say, no, that's your will. That's not my will. That's your will.
How long
But
did
let
it
me
take you to get there? In the process of strengthening, I'm calling it more like strengthening of your faith.
Yeah. I would say a good 3 years.
Mm-hmm. This was after acting school, or
no, this was during college.
oh, during college.
Yeah, during college. And part of that also was me realizing that I wasn't handing over all of me to God.
Mm.
I was just saying, here's my spirituality, here's my Christian self,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll keep my other stuff to me.
On the side, yeah.
Like when I run track, that's me. That's not you.
Mm.
But you gave me this body, so I guess that's you. So I guess I need you. And I think that was a big realization that I need him. It's not that I want him. It's that I need God. That then I could say, now that I'm in a position where I'm giving you all of me and I need you, I can rely on you and know that you have a plan and your will be done. And then I started praying not for things, but for my will to align to his will. Because then in those moments of you didn't get this part or no, you can't do that, I can say, cool. I know that's not what's supposed to happen right now because I'm going where God sends me. So I continue to pray that every single day.
That's great.
Let my will be your will.
So there's a constant, there's a reminder, there's a constant surrendering.
Yeah.
The term, because I know you love him, so all to Jesus I surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not the word in a popular culture we use, but when we surrender, which in modern language will be when we let go.
Yeah.
And then trust that God is the one who has the plan. And if my plan is not in alignment with God's, then it's not going to work out. And let his will be done. Amen. Yeah. That's great.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
It is very hard. I mean, people, you are, I think you're one of the most fascinating people I've met, because a lot of people struggle surrendering to God throughout their life, because surrendering not only helps you to let go of the situation, so you don't have control over things, and not control. I mean, you don't struggle or get frustrated over things that are not working out in your favor, but then you develop patience. When you develop patience, you develop peace.
Yeah.
But again, using the scripture here, the peace that passes all understanding. A lot of times, peace shouldn't make any sense. Like you're like, okay, and again, book of Matthew, how will I eat tomorrow? So what Jesus was saying, that when you let go of that struggle, because keep thinking constantly, just worrying is not going to help you, right? No. We don't, God forbid, look what's been happening to the airplanes. And you can use wisdom, like you guys drove to Kansas, and but do you have 100% control on the air traffic thing? No. And if you're like, okay, you know what I can do? And this is really funny, but you can say you were really resourceful and
Yeah.
you say, I'm not going to fly a commercial airline. I'm going to like have a private jet
Yep.
and my own pilot. But still, you don't know what's going to happen in the
Yeah.
weather. You don't know what's going to happen
Uh-huh.
with the machinery,
Yeah.
right? So then the only thing you can do is just say, here I am, Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you want to do with me, I'm just going to say amen to that.
Yeah.
Because you want me to do this, I'm doing your work. And that's also a good reminder. Whatever you do,
Yeah.
like the Apostle Paul says, you're doing that for Christ. You are doing that to God,
Mm-hmm.
for God,
Yeah.
and for God's greater mission to be accomplished.
Yeah.
And no matter you're an entertainer, you're a sportsman, you're a carpenter, because God blessed
Yeah.
probably those people through your hands of work, right?
And I will say every time I have hit that kind of, I don't know if I'm ever going to work again, I don't know if I'm going to act again, let me find a new career, and I start going for it, and as soon as I buy into it and I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to do this, God goes, here's a job.
That's great. Yeah.
And I go, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's a constant reminder
Yeah.
that I'm not in control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stop trying to be in control. But that's my human nature.
Mhm.
That's my human nature to want to go, okay, I want to know what tomorrow looks like. But you got to be okay with not
Mhm.
knowing what
Mhm.
tomorrow looks like,
Yeah.
because you don't.
You don't.
Even if you think you do, you don't. So
And that's, I think the scripture is full of that. That don't even plan, I'm going to go here and there and
Yeah.
do this and that, because you never know
Yeah.
what tomorrow is. I'm also going to add, for some people, the wait period is longer because the call is greater.
Yeah.
No call is bigger or small. It's just God's work, which no one knows. I don't think Moses knew how it's gonna all unfold.
No.
And but when he was in the wilderness, that's for years. And just imagine a guy who grew up privileged in a palace, and then you're homeless. That he was, and waiting. I don't think you can wait for a week, but for years and years, that's where uh, some of us struggle when we don't think things are working out in our favor. I have known a couple of people. One guy actually, he went to HB Studios, studio he says in 80s, right? And he didn't get to act until after 26 years because he was in my first short film. It was short, yeah, student or short film. And that's the guy who plays the senior pastor in my movie that just came out. You were talking about that. Okay. So the guy who plays the senior pastor in that, and he also wrote, there are two people who wrote it, an African American gentleman, and this guy's a white guy in the 70s. And hopefully he'll be in the show too toward the end of the month. And he wrote it. Interestingly, his biggest interest was he doesn't have a daughter, and it is about in the story his daughter. So the dad represents a lot of symbolism, metaphors. The dad represents the old U.S. She represents the modern U.S. and the struggle and all that. It has a lot of good themes. So the wait period. And now at surface level, he would say, my wife wanted him, and they both decided to focus on the kids and not act. But then there's a greater thing that's happening behind the scenes. It's like a show, a musical, and or a play. Just imagine how many people are there. And I remember when NYU undergrad had first female Julius Caesar, and I was in the conservatory, and my job was, I don't know what the technical term was, but when you do administrative things different, somebody does sound. So I think it's Mark Anthony's speech. After that, he exists. But this was a girl.
Yeah.
All of these were female cast, and it was also like in the newspaper because all female cast is she says. My job was to roll that.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
Fly rail. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had to wait,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Until Mark Anthony does her piece and then she exit.
Yeah.
Just say I don't know the play. That's the thing. In
Yeah.
this world, we don't know the play.
Yeah.
People who are in the Bible, they did not know the play. I know because I read the whole Noah's narrative.
Yeah.
You know because you read the whole Abraham's.
Yeah.
But just imagine Abraham. Okay, I heard. Hey, just leave this country and go to a different country. What?
Yeah.
Will I have a Wi-Fi there? Will I have clean water there? Is that better country than this? Or I thought I was in the best country. And but what's better? Wherever God is with you. What's best? Where you have God's favor, because favor has been used the term favor in the Bible a lot. Yeah. And why? Because then you get that peace. Yeah. And when you have that peace, you are saved. When you have that peace, you have received your salvation because you are in union with God. Yeah. And when you are in union with God, then you're becoming like God-like, because that's the image humans lost in the Eden. And you are getting, it's the beginning. That's why you can't be a perfect human being. Yeah. And I hate to say that a lot of people begin to think, oh, now I'm saved. I'm better than you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But your habits are not changed. You haven't worked out on your transformation. Yeah. And that's you should be focused on. Yeah. Because that's which the process that begins will eventually restore you in the lost image of God, the way humans were created. And that's then the eternal life, because it's like, unless you're prepared to hop on the train, how will the train take you, right? You have to put your work into that. And then you get to go to heaven. So how's the college life? How did you deal with the non-believers, coming from a very Christian background, holding on to that identity? Not, I think you were never ashamed of that. No, you never hid it. No. So, how's your college life, acting world? Yeah. And then what happened? What did you do right after college?
So, college was actually something that brought on new hurdles, I guess. I had a lot of drinking done during college, partly due to my friend group, but then also since I was drinking so much with them, it became I'm drinking so much, just me, and ended up that being a problem, pretty much, that I had to kind of come over or overcome. So through that, overcoming that was also another affirmation that I need God. Another thing where me trying to stop would not work. But as soon as I was like, hey, I need God, I need him to help me not drink and not want to drink, and that helped.
So that side of your life, that part of your life, you wanted to surrender to God, because that was the part
that I was keeping away.
You didn't surrender to God, and you're like, it's okay, it's me. I'll handle it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You work on different things. And then it turned out that no. Yeah. Okay.
And part of that was also because during the summers I needed a job, so I got certified as bartender in New York. Helped open a bar, bartended at a couple different places, and then going right after college, I actually bartended on an island with my two friends, living in a VW bus on a piece of property that we was illegal to live on, actually, but we hid it pretty well from the cops on the island.
So how was it living in a party town or party island, and then what kind of friends you had? What was their influence on you and your
Yeah.
influence on them?
So it was interesting, because it was such a, um, make money at all costs. A lot of the people who worked there were from Serbia, actually. So they had a program where they would come to America for 6 months.
Mhm.
They would work for 4 months and then be vacationing in America for 2 months.
Hmm.
So a lot of, and they could pay them like nothing pretty much. So that's why they did it.
Mhm.
So a lot of my friends that I met at the bar were Serbian, and they again drank a lot,
Mhm.
and I ended up drinking a lot, but I was also the only one to say, "Hey, we should stop now."
Mm.
So it was one of those things where it was like okay, I'll go out for the night, and then everybody would keep going out, and I would say, "I'm done."
Mhm.
So
So you're the one who took
yeah,
initiative and
yeah,
were more of a leader, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, but that's not to say I didn't go out at all.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it it was definitely a different experience, especially because of the types of people that are on the island, were people who they enjoy that. That's what they're there to do.
Mhm.
So I saw a lot of uh, old guys with huge mega yachts
I was
that
gonna say
that were
Hollywood celebs.
that were picking up like
Yeah.
20-year-old girls,
Hmm.
and it was just it was those situations were very sobering to me.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of times where I was unhappy
Mhm.
there, because of the surroundings,
Mhm.
Um, but thankfully, I was only there to make money,
Mhm.
and that's what I did.
Mhm.
And I was very glad to leave. I left like 3 weeks before I was supposed to,
Mhm.
because I was like, I can't take this anymore.
Mhm.
But it was a good learning experience, and it was a good experience for me to say, okay, I'm done with college. I am now done with my last summer out of
Mhm.
college. I'm moving on with my life, and I decided that I would not bartend again ever,
Because of that experience.
because of that experience, and just the
Drinking.
experiences I've,
Mm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
here you are at a
at a
bar.
bar, yeah.
Yes.
So why is this bar here right now?
This bar, because I understand in the US in particular, uh, bar is a place where people feel more welcomed
Mm,
and less judged.
yeah,
I personally am not a bar guy
yeah,
because, first of all, I don't think it's wise, especially I know some people after their work, they'd go and they would say, "Oh, I'm just gonna unwind," and it's like this. I'm gonna
yeah,
just drink beer, but then it's alcohol, it's sugar,
yeah,
and I don't know if I would walk into a bar and say, "Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and just drink water."
yeah, yeah.
They might say, "Okay, it's better for you to go
To-
run somewhere."
yeah,
Right? So, uh, but the symbolism, the reason bar. So this is home. This
yeah,
is bar, right? These both places are where people seek belonging
mm,
in general, right? And belonging has a word in it, longing. You long to be with something, and that could be an object for some people, like the car we saw, like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, that's a millions of dollars, or it could be your love interest,
mm,
and or love as you said, I'm glad you said, like, love is of different types,
yeah,
right? Or it could be you are in loving, not like a loving, I think the extreme form of love with God or with
yeah,
divine, right? So when you are belonging to someone, you feel that comfort,
hmm,
you feel peace,
yeah,
right? And that's what the home is supposed to
yeah,
give you. Now, the bar idea is, unfortunately, we have churches and that are locked. when you need the church.
Yeah.
Or there are churches that are highly involved in activities such as social justice, homeless shelter, etc. But God forbid if somebody's kicked out of a place after 5 p.m. and they walk into a church, it's very difficult to find a staff member who will do the intake. And then they would say that, okay, there's a homeless shelter we work with, and that homeless shelter does not do their intakes until Tuesday and all that.
Mhm.
And then there's always that fear. And I've seen that once. I was very young. My life's first travel abroad was to Singapore.
Mhm.
And I saw a church. I want to walk into this church because that was probably the first time I saw a very modern, shop-looking almost church
Mhm.
in a strip mall type situation. And I knocked. Somebody came in and they opened the door a little bit, partial, right? The fear. The
Mhm.
fear is genuine. I understand. But we also have an extreme example of Christian love that's been shown in the movie or musical Les Mis.
Mhm.
So I think having a happy medium might be a better thing.
Yeah.
But if it's so commercialized, like, okay, right now we are not open yet and all that, then what's the difference between a church and a medical clinic or a
Yeah.
bar and all that? But usually when you go into a bar, I don't know New York laws, first of
Yeah.
all, but I was in a total different Midwestern state, and bars used to remain open. I think there was some legal thing. Some of them on certain days could remain open until 4 a.m.,
Mhm.
and other days 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Is it the same in New
I
York?
think it's 3 a.m.
3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Still 3
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah. That's,
If someone is there, and sometimes you would see only one person sitting there, and the
Yeah.
whole bar is open,
Mhm.
and the lights are on. So you get a sense of feel welcomed.
Mhm.
And you have been a bartender. I don't know directly, but mostly, actors and actresses, they
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
in
Service
the
industry.
service
Yeah. Yeah.
industry. So I hear that bartenders are the best therapists or
Yeah.
listeners,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, mostly church leaders, pastors and ministers, or whatever term you want to use, are never available for the congregants unless you pay a lot of money
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
have time for you. But it's not that you can walk into a church and say, could I talk to the pastor because I'm having a bad day?
Yeah.
The answer will be, I'm so sorry, he's in a meeting, he's not here, he's in a meeting at a district level.
Yeah.
Or maybe come to our Sunday service. Would you like to come to, or why don't you come to our community meal? But it's not readily available, which I personally don't think is the right way to do church.
Yeah.
But bartender is.
Mhm.
And sometimes, like in the service industry, the greater thing, I think it's really cool that when you walk in as a stranger,
Yeah.
the waiter or waitress, they don't know how much you're gonna tip them,
Yeah.
but they'll still be nice to you
Uh-huh.
most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you become a regular customer and they know, okay, this guy tips me higher than the other, then it's a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I personally am not in favor of that
Yeah.
because there are people who could afford that.
Uh-huh.
Like you mentioned, like there's could be an old 80-year-old can give
Yeah.
$100 like this.
Yeah.
And then there is a young struggling student in Manhattan
Yeah.
who can't, right?
Yeah.
So the attitude of the service industry people should not be different.
No.
But stranger can
Yeah.
walk in
Yeah.
to a bar and feel welcomed without having anything to think about. Oh, do I have to buy an expensive whiskey? And then he'll say,
Mhm.
okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Or right away you go there and usually they're very friendly. They'll say, I'm over exaggerating, but honey, what can I get you?
Yeah.
And he'll say, oh, could I have a glass of water? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, coming right up. And then after a couple of minutes, and then she'll come again and she'll, okay, do you want something to drink? And until then, I mean, she's not
Yeah.
thinking about the tip. She's just thinking about her call.
Yeah.
Her calling is to serve others.
Yeah.
And if she's honest, or he's honest to his or her call, I think that's what we need in the belief system.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought bar symbolism is more relevant.
Mhm.
Can a church be like a bar? I'm not saying
Yeah.
give booze to people so they get
Yeah.
drunk, but the atmosphere,
Yeah.
the welcoming, the vibe,
Yeah.
hospitality, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And that's what's the message of Christianity?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the guy, we all love this phrase, and a lot of there are agencies, Samaritan, right? But what did he do? He just showed hospitality and care and uh, extra. He walked extra mile. He even gave a couple of bucks to the whatever their
Yeah, yeah,
currency
yeah.
was to the innkeeper
Mhm.
and feeding. But that's at their level.
Yeah.
It's not. I differentiate between charity and empathy. Is that charity is like this? You can have this thing, and then okay, I'm here. I'm not gonna really get closer to you because you're
Yeah.
dirty or smelly or whatever. I'm gonna give a couple of bucks.
Mhm.
But empathy is when you both are at the same level,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's part of the reason why I did actually like bartending was being able to be that person for people, to listen, to care for them, for that. But too many times I've had people try to talk to me
Mm.
as if I need help.
Mm.
I actually had a guy slap me across the face
Wow.
because he was like, well, what do you do? What do you know? And I don't mind people wanting to get to know me because they don't want to talk about themselves. I get that. Cool. I'll talk about myself. So I was talking about, oh yeah, well, I'm going to be an actor after this. And he's like, well, then what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I'm making some money so that I can afford living
Sure,
while I'm auditioning.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to have a job while I'm trying to audition and do that. And he was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You should just be over there auditioning. Go do it. What are you doing here? And he was getting a little too much for me, so I backed off a little bit. And then he said something like, "Hey, I got something to tell you." And I go, "What?" And he smacks me across the face. He goes, "What? You know what that was?" And I was like, "Well, you're smacking some sense into me." He goes, "Yeah." I go,
And this was in the city.
No, this was out on that island.
Oh, I mean, people over there, a lot of them are crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And what if he was not in his senses? I'm sorry you had to go through that.
But that was just another. It's happened in multiple different scenarios, not slapping, thank God. But
was that maybe a how to say that some sort of message that it's not your call, don't do that. Did you think?
bartending?
Yeah, it's like if 12 people told you you were the light.
Yeah.
Was it the same way, or
wake-up
how
call?
did you? Yeah, wake up call.
Yeah.
How did you take it?
Um,
Why it's happening to me again and again and again?
I think I knew it was wrong
To work?
to work at a bar. I knew that was not what I was supposed to do. But I couldn't think of anything else to do to make money. And I thought I needed to make money so that I could audition. But I didn't, because the first audition I went on, I got. So I made that money for what could have been nothing, you know? Because I thought I was going to audition for 6 months straight and not get anything.
So maybe you were still working on yourself to surrender or let go of your idea of a good job for you so you could earn some money.
Yeah.
Instead of 100% letting God do it and tell you which direction you should go to.
Yeah. And I think it kind of comes back to even the what I was talking about with the track thing of God gave me this body that can run. Why am I not honoring that? You know, God gave me the ability to act. Why am I not doing that? And instead worrying about finances, you know? So I think there has always and will always be a struggle, not for me, but just the human in general, of the head and the heart.
Yeah.
there's always going to be this head and heart back and forth, back and well, what makes sense? But what do I want? But what makes sense?
Hmm.
And I think that's always that kind of tightrope of trying to get those two to come at a conclusion.
And I want to add here that you're one of the blessed peoples I've listened to, that you have been getting clear messages,
Yeah.
right? But even God's closest people, Abraham, as an example, God tells him, leave this place, go to another place. But then he doesn't get the GPS directions,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And he's passing through a kingdom and he's like, oh my God, if they know this is my wife, they think she's pretty, they'll kill me,
Mhm.
have it.
Yeah.
Should I say she's my sister? So
Yeah.
we don't see God constantly telling him, take left.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
300 meters away. Tell this is your wife.
God's not Siri.
Yeah, right. And that's what we expect.
Yeah.
Some of us do expect. Oh my God, God is not telling me what
Yeah.
do I do. But then you use your own wisdom,
Mhm.
use your own discernment. In your case, I think you're really smart. You already knew you were
Yeah.
doing something which might not be in alignment
Yeah.
with God's will. But then some of us have to try things
Yeah.
to get to that point. Okay, that doesn't work out for me. That's not
Mhm.
God's. And then accepting
Yeah.
that this is not working out for me. That's not God's will.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.